Hello, art students. We're going to learn how to mix all of the grays we need for our paintings by making something called a value scale. A value scale shows all of the ranges of lights and darks of one color or hue. So to get started, put a little bit of black and a little bit of white paint into your palette. Then take a good look at your reference image to figure out how many grays you need to make. In looking at my reference image, I can see about 4 identifiable grays, plus there's some black and some white. Get yourself a paper towel, a brush, a water container filled halfway with water, and then take your reference image out to really figure out how many grays you need to make and which one you think you might start off with. So you can see all my grays here. And I recommend starting with your lightest gray. So I'm going to start by scooping some white paint into a separate area of my palette and then thoroughly washing off my brush by scrubbing it against the side of the water container. Never tapping, but just scrubbing it to get it really cleaned off. I don't want streaks of white in my black paint. Then I'm going to barely touch my brush into the black because it's very, very strong and I know I need to make a gray that is really, really light. And then I'm going to thoroughly mix it in the palette. We always do our mixing in the palette. Then I'm going to lay that paint down on my paper so that I can check it with my reference image to see if it's the right shade. So it's a little too dark. I can still use this for one of the other grays in my reference image, but I need to make this lighter. So I'm going to scoop more white into another area. And I'm going to get a lot of white. And I scoop a little bit of that gray into the white to adjust it now so that it's lighter in value. Again, I'm doing all of my mixing in the palette and I want to thoroughly mix it so that there are no streaks of white or black paint in it. Then I'm going to lay that down and then check it again with the reference image. Yes, that looks pretty good. Now I've got 2 out of the 4 grays I need. I'm going to clean off my brush, wipe it off on my paper towel. That'll make sure that there's no water, excess water in my paint. Then I'm going to scoop some more paint into a separate area. Maybe use a little bit more black this time because I know I need a darker gray now. And then mix it up. And then lay that down. I can see that that is darker than what I was going for. But that is a darker gray that I can use as my darkest value there. So I can use it for those areas. But now what I need is that gray that's kind of in between the one on the far right and the one on the left. So I'm going to scoop some of that gray that I mixed into a separate area so that I can adjust it. I'm going to clean off my brush so I don't get streaks of black into that white paint. And then scoop some white in there. So obviously the more paint you put into each of those little mixing wells, the more of the color you'll make. So I'm going to clean off my brush because I can see that I need to add more white to that. And then do my mixing. Then I'm going to lay it down and check it a final time. So now you can see I have 4 distinct values here. I've got the lightest value, I've got the one that's for that area, I've got the one for the main part of her face, and then those dark, shadowy parts. Plus I'm going to end up using black for her hair and in her eyes and a little tiny bit of white. So if you'd like, you can number your values or number your grays, and you can even make a little cheat sheet for yourself by also numbering the corresponding places on your drawing that you know you're going to need to paint. And that might make it easier for you.